Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Month is a time to celebrate and highlight our globally diverse community. Join us in recognizing underrepresented leaders from all over the world and listen to these incredible journeys and the new heights they will reach next. DEI Month is presented by Silicon Valley Bank.
So welcome everyone to the very first event and the launch event of Startup Grind Varanasi. I am your host and host Prashant Pandey. I am the director of Startup Grind Varanasi. Okay, so before starting today's event, let me give you a brief intro about Startup Grind and the motive behind starting a chapter from Varanasi. Yeah. So as they say, Startup Grind is the world's largest startup community. It strives to help the entrepreneurs, founders, creators, and startups succeed by actively educating, inspiring, and connecting over 3.5 million entrepreneurs in over 600 chapters across 125 countries in the world. So India has currently over 35 plus chapters, and we are the newest chapter establishing our presence in from Varanasi. So any guesses like what's the another name of Varanasi? Anyone? That most traditional and the cultural name of Varanasi. Anyone know about this? Banaras is a Hindi name. What's the most traditional? Yeah, that's the right answer. Kashi. So you can call this Startup Grind Kashi also. Yeah. So let's start today's fireside chat and welcome Rahul Varma, who is the co-founder and CEO of Unschool. So let's share this. Okay.
Thanks, Prashant.
So,
Thanks for having me.
yeah. So I want to introduce Rahul because I'm like super inspired. So yeah, with being the CEO and co-founder of Unschool, Rahul is also a TEDx speaker and have previously led operations for ISEC in India. I guess everyone know about ISEC. So yeah, he has also an amazing experience of more than 4 years in EdTech industry, in which he founded his own startup ladder, that is Unschool. Unschool is an EdTech marketplace backed by the leading, you can say that startup accelerator, the Y Combinator from the batch of Winter 21, and has also ranked third on LinkedIn's top startups list 2020. Yeah. So also there's an amazing announcement today. Unschool is providing a 50% discount coupon to all courses of Unschool to all those who promote this event on Instagram in between and after the event using hashtags Startup Grind Varanasi, Unschool, and SGVNSxUnschool. I will be mentioning this hashtag in the chat, and also tag unschool.it and Startup Grind VNS on Instagram, and we are looking to your promotions. So the thing you have to do is you have to upload a story, or you can post too if you want. So with these hashtags and the tag, we will be looking to your promotions, and we will like provide the coupons to those who pass this it's an activity. So we will be providing these 50% discount coupons to all those who will pass this activity. So okay, I'm attaching this hashtags here in the chat. Yes, so you can use this hashtag, and also you have to tag these two accounts and promote this event. Yeah, so you have to use these hashtags and and you have to tag these two accounts and promote this event in between and after the event too. And we will be sharing the discount coupon to all those who will pass this activity. Amazing. So without a further ado, let's start this fireside chat. And again, welcome Rahul to the fireside chat, and let's unfold the journey of Unschool.
Super. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. So as this is a fireside chat, so I will be interviewing Rahul with few questions, and you can also ask your questions in between the event. We will consider those questions too, and Rahul will be answering those questions too. Either in between the like this fireside chat, or after this we have a Q&A session for 10 to 15 minutes. So either he will be answering in this in between, or after those 40 to 45 minutes in those 10 to 15 minutes. So you can like post your questions always in between the event, and we will consider it. Okay. So like the first thing I want to ask you, Rahul, like we want to know more about you, your college days, and the other past experiences in this industry, like the edtech industry you founded this, like your amazing startup.
All right. Before I start off, quite a few known names here. I
Yeah.
think all of these are unschoolers at one point or
Oh,
the other. I can Abhinav, Rajmouli, probably if I can't recollect someone else, sorry for that. But yes,
that's
good to see you
amazing.
guys here. And I think it's the first event for Startup Grind, and I just hope that there's going to be probably 600 participants coming to the events in the coming future, and this is just going to be the foundation for that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think my college life. See, I was one of those engineers who joined engineering because it wasn't particularly my choice, but by chance is what I became an engineer for. So follow the same typical journey, especially for a South Indian kid or an Indian kid as a whole. Got into IIT training in ninth standard from going away from an ICSE school, being an all-rounder there, good at sports and good at academics and good at extracurriculars. Suddenly putting me into a place where 12 hours of math, physics, and chemistry had to be done. That was not something that I like to remember in my life. I almost consider it a gray area in my life, 9 to 12 standard. So immediately
Yeah.
after I got admission into SRM University with a scholarship, I mean, that was for me a pass of freedom, right? For me, it was like, wow, and now I can spread my wings and do everything that I've been passionate about and everything that I love. But then the second blow hit me in my life that 1 year down my engineering life, I realized this is not what I wanted to do. The first doubt was when they were teaching me physics and chemistry in engineering. I was like, wow, okay, I just finished this in 12th and I have to do it again. So yeah, what I did is after 1.5 years, after realizing that, started spending a lot of my time outside of the four walls of my classroom.
Yeah.
Joined clubs, joined organizations, and then I realized during this time is when my eyes opened up to new possibilities. Right, I started exploring more. I realized that more than my teachers who were teaching me in the classroom, when I joined these computer science based clubs, it was my seniors who challenged me. They were in fact pushing me to do work on new softwares and new programming tools and whatnot. And I think one of those organizations for me was SRM Search Engine in my college. So I joined a search engine which was government funded. They gave us 50 lakhs in funding. They said, make a Bharat autonomous search engine. Make a search engine that's not Google, but make it for
Yeah.
India. Um, so the idea was intriguing, but I was not good at coding. Definitely seeing my North Indian peers making Snake and Ladders game on Java, and I'm writing printf Hello World over there. It was very difficult for me, and it was very intimidating.
Yeah.
But yeah, I learned. Started as a team member, went on to be the user head for the the user experience team. I became the vertical head. So there I realized that I can also be an engineer. I can make something out of this career. And in the meanwhile, I joined other things as well, including fests in college, organizations, and that's when ISEC came about. Started as a team member. When I went for my ISEC interview, they selected me to be part of the sales department, which means I was responsible for convincing students to go on student exchanges. My first thought was, are you stupid? You take an introverted, shy kid like me, who's gone through 4 years of math, physics, and chemistry and IT training. Why would you put me into sales? I definitely did not believe that I would be a good fit. In fact,
Right.
that's what happened. In the first, I think, 90 days of my ISEC journey, I was supposed to at least make 5 people go on a student exchange program to a different country. And although it seems small, the number 5, each person would be spending about 1.5 to 2 lakhs, including their flight and hotel accommodations and everything in a different country for 6 weeks. It's a huge investment, right? And therefore, I think what I'm doing today is selling Unschool courses, which is 3,000, 4,000 rupees. I think this is very small compared to what I did back then. In fact, this seems much more easier. Uh,
Yes.
so selling that was extremely difficult. And for the first 90 days, all I used to do was wait for my lunch break. That was the only time when I could go out and speak to other students and market the exchange program. So I used to have my lunch in less than 4 minutes, run off to other classes, and then ask permission for people who used to be sitting around and having their lunches and say that I have an announcement to make. Please listen to me. That did not work out, obviously, because their lunch was way more important than some random guy coming into a class and
Yeah.
telling them about a product they have to purchase. And then what I did is I somehow convinced my class in charge and asked him to give me permission for leaving during the class. So I used to find the timetable of each and every department, and I used to find a class called personality development in the timetable. And whenever I found that, I used to add it to my next day's calendar. And that is the period which I could go and disturb the teacher, because if I went and disturbed the computer science teacher, they would kick me out. So I would go to the personality development teacher and I would say, you know what, I have some very interesting proposition here that is part of personality development for your students. So why don't you give me 2 minutes to just announce it? So I used to go there, announce it. And the first mistake of my sales, I think, career is I went to the mechanical engineering class. And the moment I went to the mechanical engineering class, one thing you should realize is mechanical engineers are almost all boys, and you
Yeah.
never do that mistake ever again. Okay, so 95% boys, so they're going to humiliate you, boo you, kick you out of the class, saying nahi sunna hai mujhe, I don't even want to hear what you're saying, just get lost, right? Because they're all
Yeah.
boys, and we boys tend to be naughty, and we don't pay attention usually, right?
Yeah.
And that was the first mistake. I went to 3 mechanical classes to realize that I should never visit a mechanical engineering class. Then I started visiting other departments, and I started pitching there because they were girls and boys together. They were at least listening to me. And then the next learning that I had was I was pitching and I left the classroom. So I wouldn't get any responses. So next thing I did was take a chalk piece, ask the permission from the teacher saying, can I add my name and number here? If someone is interested, they can call me. And then next step after that I learned is that I took these forms and I made it a survey. You know, in your personality, if you had to develop, what kind of soft skills do you need to build, what kind of
Yeah.
volunteering should you do? And then I showed it to the teacher first and I said, you know, this is a very important survey for your students. It will improve their personality, and I'll give these survey results to you. uh, so yeah, like I started selling the teachers based on that, and the teachers would almost always agree. And then I used to send those forms, give out forms to each and every person, and one day I would end up having like 300 forms with me filled with all of their data, including their name, their mobile number, their contact, their email, and everything. So what I'm trying to say basically is that it's always been a journey of learning by myself, right? uh, in college or in life, practically no one teaches you anything. There's always mentors around, but you'll have to learn by yourself. And what's really important as part of this process is you fail 100 times. So 90 days I completely failed. Not even one person called me back. When I called them, they would say, nahi yaar, 1.5 lakhs, are you crazy? And then came, I think, the month of April or May, uh, and I started getting calls. I started getting a couple of calls. This one person said, I want to go to Europe on an exchange, can you help me out? I did that. I somehow matched him to Romania, and that was my first exchange. He paid me 15,000 rupees in hand, and he booked his flight tickets and everything. I was like, great, probably this was luck. But then what I realized is that the whole efforts that I put into the last 90 days and the failure that I saw came back to me from the 91st day. From there onwards, in the next 30 days, I saw 30 people coming back to me and saying, I want to go on an exchange too. And the one thing that I learned about marketing that day, apart from everything else that I already told you, is that sales is about timing, right? I went to them at the beginning of the semester, which is in Jan, Feb, and March. Beginning of the semester, no one thinks about going on an exchange, especially when you have to go out for 6 weeks out of the country. But then April and May, they got back to me only primarily because summer vacations are going to start from June. That means they wanted to start planning in April and May, right? So
Yes.
I think that's my journey of how I started. From there, did really well, went on to become the team leader, then went on to become the vice president. As a vice president, I think I had the most, I think the best year of my life. While I was still in college, I was leading a team of about 150 people.
Amazing.
We did about 250 exchanges that year. We won the award for excellence in ISEC in India. I think that record is still not broken in the organization. So it's a lot of experiences. And then I applied. That is a time when I think I got into fourth year. Uh, like many of you who would be wondering, will I get a job? What salary will I be getting? And everything. I was in the same state. Luckily, I got selected in a couple of companies with good packages. But then I just took those offer letters, showed my dad, hey, here's the offer letter that you always wanted for all of the tuition fee that you paid for me. Now I want to do what I'm passionate about because I've proved myself. So I ended up applying for ISEC in India, got selected to be the head of operations there. And I don't think I saw college in fourth year. I never went to college. I ended up traveling to Mumbai and starting my work there as the head of operations for ISEC India. So I think this was a long answer, but yeah, that was how my college life was.
Yeah, actually, that was your luck. Like you have not attended that fourth year.
Very lucky.
Yeah, yeah, very lucky. Amazing. So you have started an school. So what was your actual idea and innovation behind an school?
Yeah. So more than the idea, I think for us it was about solving a problem. I just told you about my journey, right? And I
Yeah,
think I was fortunate to have chosen a path or fell into a path somehow. The stars aligned for me, and something fell in place that I found the organizations that would really help me. Um,
okay.
but the bigger problem was that there's millions of students like me pursuing something that they're not really interested in,
Yeah,
right? And then we complain about unemployment in India. Why
yes,
is there unemployment? It's simply because students who are graduating do not have skills required for the industry today.
yeah,
The world today is talking about AI and machine learning and 3D printing and even space exploration now, going to the
yeah,
Mars and going to the moon and having a civilization there. And all that we're learning in college is what my dad learned 20, 30 years back during his engineering. So the textbook has not much changed, right? And then why do you expect a TCS or a Wipro or an Infosys to give you that 10 lakhs package that you always dreamt of?
yeah,
What they're doing is creating educational institutions within their own companies and within their own campuses and training people for 6 to 12 months, calling it sitting on the bench, calling it training period, paying you very less, like 16,000 rupees per month, and then training you saying, forget whatever you learned in college, come learn with me. I'm going to teach you tools and softwares and programs required for the future and required for the company as of today. So I
yeah,
think that bridge, which is there between what students are learning and what the industry need, and that's the skill gap that I think now I'm very clear about it. Back then, for me, the problem was that no, education is not good. It's not good to say that. In fact, education system is good, and all of, including the prime minister and the education minister, are making reforms to make it well. But yeah, fundamentally, when starting Unschool, that was a problem that I wanted to solve. Um, and more than that, it was about, why do you always need to only learn from a gray haired old person with 20 years of teaching experience as a professor? Why can't you learn from a person who is sitting somewhere in a company and knows that tool and knows that futuristic program more than anyone else? So my idea was to connect students to like minded people who like to share their skills and who have the knowledge to teach, and they have this inbuilt uh, wish to educate a generation of young learners and make a bright future for the country. So with that idea, we made a marketplace. We said anyone can come teach on the platform, anyone can come learn on the platform. We want to become the Uber for education or the Netflix for education, right?
great
Tomorrow, a
vision.
grandmother who loves to cook chicken and makes the best chicken in the world should be able to come teach cooking on the Unschool platform. A fitness trainer who lost his job because of COVID should be able to teach fitness on the platform, right? So I think
Yeah.
that's where the idea came from.
Yeah, so mainly like we have youngsters here. So this is for you. Like Unschool is an amazing platform for you, either to learn or to teach. So yeah, like what Unschool is. Like, can you please elaborate more on the Unschool part?
Sure,
Like what Unschool is it, and what it is doing to help the youth, and how is it helping the youth?
sure. So yeah, Unschool, like I said, is a marketplace for experts from anywhere around the world to create high quality courses on our platform, and we
Yeah.
help them reach out to students. We realize that there are a lot of people who with a lot of knowledge, but they have full-time jobs, or they have businesses to run, or they have children to take care of. Essentially, what they don't know how to do is marketing their knowledge, and that's where
Yeah.
Unschool comes in for them, right? So we ensure that any there we help it distribute to students between the ages 17 to 25, high school students, undergrads, postgrads, and few early working professionals as well. And we ensure that they have the best learning experience, and that is taken from the idea that there's a lot of edtech platforms out there. The Coursera's and the Udemy's of the world have millions of users, right? In fact, your college itself asks you to take up these courses and submit them back in college for credits. But the
Yeah.
problem is that, based on our research, only 3 to 4% of these students on these platforms complete the course. What's happening to the remaining 96 of 100 people then? Right? It's not a complex answer. It's a simple answer that they don't have motivation. If you ask a student to watch a series like Sex Education or Money Heist or something like that, you're going to binge watch it throughout the night and complete it tomorrow. But that's not the same with education, right?
Yeah.
You need motivation, you need the hand holding process. And that's why, even during the early times, gurukuls were formed with only 5 people sitting in front of them under a tree, and one teacher was there to take care of you and push you towards the exams, push you towards learning something. Pandavas learn from Dronacharya. It's all the same concept, right? So the idea is that Unschool provides a platform with 60% completion rates, which is the highest in the industry globally. That's because we provide students with personal coaching, personalized learning paths. We provide them projects for practical learning as multiple interventions. And it's also one small thing where we say that, if a student has taken the course 15 days back and only completed 10% of it, we give them a call and say, hey, you're supposed to be at 25, why are you still at 10? It's a simple mechanism of pushing the students towards the right path. And as an outcome based learning, which the Udemy's and the Coursera's do not provide, again, what do you do after you take a course? You add that to your resume, make your resume 3 pages long instead of one, and then
Yeah.
expect to get a job immediately, which is not clearly not happening for the many past decades.
Yeah.
um, so essentially, what we do is, immediately after you complete a course, we connect you with a company or multiple companies where you can get guaranteed paid internship opportunities. So today, while 60% of the students on Unschool complete courses, which is the highest, 80% of those students get placed in paid internship opportunities with the best companies in the country. So that's what Unschool is in a gist.
Amazing. So I guess the main problem, like in today's generation, is like they are enjoying Netflix, Amazon Prime more rather than those courses platforms.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't think that's a problem.
yeah.
It's inbuilt in us as humans,
Yeah.
that if you are made to go to the gym, you're excited for the first 2 to 3 days, but the fourth day you're like, nahi karna hai mujhe, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's inbuilt in humans that we like entertainment more than something that is serious, because that requires investment, and you're doing it for something that you don't know. Because if you watch Money Heist, you're immediately going to get satisfaction and your hormones go up. But if you're studying today for a skill, that means you're doing it for a job that you want 2 years later, right? So I think
Yeah.
that's the gap, and that's how we are inbuilt as humans. And yeah, I mean, it's the duty of educational platforms to make it as cool as Netflix for them to come on the platform. It's not the students' problem.
Yeah.
It's our problem and the system's problem of how we can make it interactive for them.
Yes. Yeah. So like let's shift towards that building part, building and startup part. So can you please share about your very early days of an school and like the experiences or related to those, like when you were building the unschool and you were in the like very early stage.
Sure. Yeah, good old memories. Very, very sad memories, but now looking back, good. So I think, yeah. So I'll start even before Unschool. I had broken my leg playing tennis or badminton or something, and then I traveled to Chennai because I didn't want to go back to my parents and see them with my broken leg. So I went to Chennai, and then I didn't know who to call there. So I called Narayanan, who's my co-founder,
Yeah.
And Narayan says, yeah, come home, right? So I spent a day with him, and then we were sitting in a Starbucks in one of our favorite beaches in Chennai, the Bessie Beach. And then I was telling him that I want to start something, and I just gave him an idea that this is what I have in mind. All that Narayan said at that point of time was, I'll be there for you no matter what. I'll help as much as I can. So I came back to Hyderabad after that. And then I gave a call to Narayan saying, I don't want help from you. I want you to be my co-founder. I want you to, start this journey with me. So I started working on Unschool, just putting everything on paper. In the meanwhile, Narayanan quit his job, took a Zoom car from Mumbai, came to Hyderabad in the Zoom car, and just started, right? And we didn't have a lot of savings. Hindsight, if we had saved from our previous job, I think we would have been much better off. But we didn't save anything, therefore, we didn't have a lot of money to invest in the startup. And I think this is a message for anyone who believes that you need a lot of money to start something. It's not really true. All you need is conviction and perseverance.
Yeah.
So yeah, we started out of our parents' house, the equivalent of a garage in the US standards.
Yeah.
Our parents' house, we started from there. We used to share a room. We used to share two corners of a room. We used to put our desk in one corner and Narayan in the other corner. I used to code on the website. He used to give sales calls and run ads and everything. So that's how it went about. But there was one inflection point for us where I think Narayanan had just finished his role as the president for ISIC in Nepal. So he got an email saying that, hey, you know what, the government of India and the government of Nepal are doing something together to foster the culture of entrepreneurship in Nepal. So it was a competition, B plan competition. And then he said, why don't we apply? I said, are you mad? We don't even have a product. I mean, we don't even have a PPT, forget a product, right? But we ended up applying for it. And out of the 500,000 startups that applied, 300 people were shortlisted only for the idea. So we are like, wow, we made a PPT in half an hour and we sent it. If this can get selected, that means we have a chance, right? And the next round also happened. We got selected. We were the top 10 startups, but we had to go to Nepal to present there. One, we didn't have our flight tickets for Nepal. We didn't have money to purchase flight tickets and everything. So we did some jugaad here and there. We ended up traveling to Nepal. And then we realized we don't even have business cards. We walked into the hall and there were people with suits and everything. The Prime Minister of Nepal was going to be there as a chief guest. We're like, whoa, first we don't have a product, but at least we need to have a business card in place, right? So
Yeah.
immediately Naren and I sat down. We put two arrows together like this and we said, one arrow represents teachers, one arrow represents students, and one arrow is going to be in yellow, one is going to be in blue. And then we put it together and we said, this is what is the Unschool. Immediately we sent it out for printing. The printer shop was sucked completely. They gave us very, very bad visiting cards, which we ended up not using. But yeah, we presented with all of our heart. We won the B plan competition. That was our first validation for the fact that, as long as you have a real problem and you want to solve it with all your heart, if we did not have a product, we at least knew what the product should be. Right. So I think the vision of where you want to be is very important, and that's the most important job role of a CEO of a company, right?
Yeah.
What's the ambition? What is this organization going to be in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years from now? Is what that person is the guardian for, and that's what the CEO's role is. So I think we started out like that. That was first proof of validation. Did really well from the first month itself. We were profitable. We still continue to be a profitable startup, which is very rare nowadays. A lot
Yeah.
of startups end up spending a lot of investor money and call themselves unicorns. I mean, I'm not against it, but that's the idea how startup world works. But we're still
Yeah.
proud to be a profitable company even till date. So we applied for T Hub after that, which is an incubation center here in Hyderabad. We got selected there as part of the Lab 32 program. And
Yeah.
then in 2020, LinkedIn reached out to us saying, we are considering you to be on the top 10 startups list. So we did that and we got that as well. And then YC happened. So yeah, I mean, more than I think for the amount of failures that we were going through and hardships we were going, every 3 months or 6 months we were getting these kind of rewards, small your story articles, which made us believe that yes, all of the hard work we put in is actually making sense, right? Because as humans we also need that appreciation from someone. So I think that's how the Unschool journey started.
It's an amazing story. I think everyone is like here motivated with your story. Like people usually think in today's generation, like they have to like if they want to start a startup, they should have a lot of money, a lot of thing, and all that. But your story is like motivating one. Like हम हमारे पास तो कुछ था ही नहीं, बट हमने स्टार्ट किया, एंड like it's just a magic happen. So what you will say, like this is a luck, magic, or uh, anything, like
So
what's
I
this?
think it's just perseverance, right?
Okay.
You try and try until you succeed, is what Swami Vivekananda said,
Yeah.
and I think that's exactly what we did. I mean, see, at no point did we think that this is going to fail, right? At
Yeah.
every point, we knew that we were going to be millionaires and we are going to make a unicorn. Even today, we think that. So I think just believing in yourself and going at it. I mean, we don't come from lesser privileged backgrounds or something where we did not have money at all. Probably, I don't want to exaggerate it. We come from good middle class families with a very good education. So we were privileged enough. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, when you start a journey of your own, it just depends on how you persevere through it. If you're going to give up for one or two failures, then you definitely are not startup material. And you should
Yeah.
always remember that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, right? A
Yeah.
sprint is going to be done in 1 year, but a marathon is probably going to take you 10 years. That's what you should believe in.
And you have to run in a constant way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So actually you will make it, and school will be a unicorn very.
Fingers
Yeah.
crossed. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, now there's a question. You mentioned YC. So I guess here everyone wants to understand, if he or she is an active founder or aspiring one who know YC, like how YC happened, and also share your experience and advice on what value YC provide, and how to get selected in YC.
Sure. So I'll start with how we got selected. It's a funny story.
Yeah.
See, I've always, since my college time, looked at Startup School of YC
Mm-hmm.
and read their articles and always dreamt of being part of that community at one point of time. That is, if I chose the startup journey. Somehow it fell into place. But yeah, I think for us, I just ended up applying for it. Ryan, in fact, did not know about what YC is, like a lot of people.
Yeah.
Once we got selected, he asked me, "What is YC?" I said, "It's the Harvard for entrepreneurs." That's how I just said it. And he's like, "Oh, wow. Okay. Sounds interesting. Let me check it out." And then he understood how big it is. So yeah, we ended up applying. We got selected for the interview. The interview was at 1:30 or 2 a.m. in the night because it's morning for them in the US. Uh,
Yeah.
so it's a thumb rule for YC that if you get a call from them, you're essentially selected after the interview.
Amazing.
If you get an email from them, you're rejected. Okay.
Okay.
So after our interview was done, it's literally a 10 minutes interview. They don't take the 11th minute at all. They're not kidding when they say it's 10 minutes. And on the other hand, other investors talk to you for 10 months before you giving you money. But YC on the other hand talks to you for 10 minutes before giving you money. That's one difference between other investors and YC. But yeah, we did the interview, finished by 2. We stayed in the office until 6, hoping that we would get a call. We didn't get, but at 6:30 we got an email, and that means rejection, right? But essentially, when we looked at the email, they said your numbers are too good to be true. We don't understand how you've been profitable and how you're maintaining such high margins. So please send us an MIS. I mean, details of all of your company and how you've been profitable. So 6:30 to 8 o'clock, we spent making that MIS from scratch because we didn't want to take it to the next day. Send it to them, and then by afternoon we got a call essentially, right, that you are selected. And what they really liked about us is the fact that we took 1.5 hours, even though it was early morning and we didn't have any sleep. So, I mean, there were other reasons for why they selected us, but they've specifically mentioned that this is something that they really appreciate in founders. That hunger to get something done immediately is what is very important for them.
Yes. Uh, so, uh, like, uh, what's your MVP and type? Like you had made one, or how was he select?
Right.
Like, yeah,
So yeah, I mean, for YC, by the time we reached YC, we already had about 30,000 paying customers, and we were doing really well. But at least for us, MVP was, there was a time, I think, in 2019, for 2 months we did not have a product in hand, but I still used to sell the courses. I used to tell people that you buy the course now, we'll give you access in 2 months. Right? I mean, I'm still grateful for the customers who paid us money then and kept us surviving, but they
yeah,
believed in us, right? We learned how to sell like that. Um, uh, I think April, May, June 2019, we used to sell the product, but we didn't have a product. July is when we released our first course and actually gave students access to it. And fortunately, they like the course, they like the quality, and that's how it worked out. So if you ask me what my MVP was, it was just my sales pitch. But if you ask me, otherwise, technically, we took 3 months to make the best form of courses. We only made three in the beginning, but we made it high quality, and that's what worked out for us.
cool. So YC application has you can say a form, a block or field where they ask for a prototype or a website.
Yeah.
So like what you did in those fields?
So, like I said, Prashant, 2019 was the story where we did not have anything, right? But
Mm-hmm.
2020 ending is when we applied for YC.
Yeah,
So by that time, we already had 30,000 customers. In one
cool.
year, we got 30,000 customers to pay for us. So I think that's what they liked about us.
Yeah.
The extremely fast growth without any form of investment. So yeah, we had the product by then. We had the website by then. In fact, even till date, we don't have a product made in house. We use a third party learning management system. So, for all of the people who give excuses that no, it's not ready, I can't release my product, I think that's bullshit.
Yeah, one thing I remember YC always say don't be late in launching your product. Uh, Build as fast as you can and launch your MVP as soon as you can. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yes, amazing. So, what's the major difference between MVP and a prototype?
See, I mean, both are the same according to my understanding. Prototype
Yeah,
is for products that have the touch and feel mechanism to it, right?
yeah,
You're in the field of robotics or deep tech, right, or AI. That's when you need a prototype
mm-hmm.
to run tests of how the product is working or what kind of results it's giving you.
Mm-hmm.
MVP is as simple as a minimum viable product, which means that if these were the features given to a customer and if they paid 1,000 rupees for that product,
Mm-hmm.
and those were the least amount of features with no form of user experience, user design, technology, there's nothing beautiful about it, right? It's just a plain old black and white website. And even if for that, if a person is signing up, downloading your app, paying you 100 rupees, 10 rupees, 1,000 rupees, that means your MVP is successful. So you
Okay.
have proof that if I increase the price to 10,000 with all of the features that I would want in the future, they're
Mm-hmm.
going to pay for it. So what you're doing through an MVP is essentially the hypothesis going to the fact that is this a real problem, and is the problem big enough,
Mm-hmm.
and if I release this, is this something people would pay money for? Otherwise, you can just be an NGO,
Yeah,
right? If you want to run a charity, you can run that, which is very noble, but at the end of the
mm-hmm.
day, you need paying people. If not in the
Yeah,
first year, you would need them in the 10th year. So
yeah.
essentially, MVP is anything that is giving you proof that people are interested in signing up.
Mm-hmm. Great. Yeah, so I'm much more curious about in those 3 months in YC. Like what's inside
Right.
YC
uh,
demo day?
so I think, yeah, I mean, before YC demo day, see, the first meeting that we had with YC was the Airbnb founders themselves, the three founders, because
Mm-hmm.
they were part of YC. And
Yeah.
YC has a very strong alumni culture or this community culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Today, if I get an email from a founder who is from YC and asks me for a favor, I'm going to do it. So
Yeah.
there's very strong camaraderie in the process. Um, so I still remember it was Airbnb's founders, three of them, taking a 2 hour session with us, just like this, having a fireside chat and explaining all the way from when they went bankrupt, when they slept on air mattresses. Airbnb was not Airbnb first.
Yeah.
Airbnb was first a company that used to sell Kellogg's Chocos and cornflakes.
Yeah.
Airbnb then became a company that used to have these air mattresses that used to be sent to these hotels where people can use them for rent. And then
Yeah.
Airbnb became what it is today, including the times where they used to not have a place to stay, went bankrupt, had loans on themselves because they went into debt built in the company. Each of this was explained to us. And imagine Airbnb into the hundreds of alumni who were part of it. Take a Dropbox, take a Razorpay, take a Meesho. All of these founders would come and speak to us daily, right? And I don't think any amount of Harvard or ISB or Stanford graduates would get that kind of an experience where you hear it from the horse's mouth about
Yeah.
what they went through. That is one. And second, I don't think YC is has some secret sauce. It's a big brand, but what YC does is it ensures that your fundamentals of building a business are very right. That's all they do. There's no secret sauce. There's nothing magical and rocket science happening to there. To be very frank, a YC founder is not some god, right? At least that's what people believe. Even I
Yeah.
believed that before I got into YC. But it's very simple. They just ensure that uh, you're building a business for scale. You're building a business for the long run, and secondly they take extreme care. I still remember my group partners who were YC partners
Mm-hmm.
taking 30 minutes out for me to make my own pitch deck, to change small words like remove the there, add a here, add at here, your English is wrong, change this. That's the kind of precision that they move into. And this person who was helping me make my presentation for demo day was a person who sold his company for $900 million,
Amazing.
probably few thousands of crores. So
Yeah.
their humility in terms of helping you out through the process is insane, right? And I don't think
Yeah.
you get that anywhere else.
Yeah. Great. So it's like I've read about that Airbnb story, and like I was shocked to I know that their air bread and butter. The full form is air bread and butter. So how air
Bread
bread
and
and butter
breakfast.
happen? Yeah, bread and
Bread and
breakfast. Yeah,
breakfast. Yeah.
yeah, you are right. Bread and breakfast. So I was like shocked to know that how air bread and breakfast happen.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I
absolutely.
know that they sold like Cerelac in their very early days. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, like, how you raised your first round of funding, and like, according to your experience, what is the right time for any founder to raise the very first round of funding for their startup?
Okay, I might not be the best person to answer this because we have not had the requirement to raise funds. We're currently in the process
Okay.
of raising our first round.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's as simple as this. Like, when do you have to raise funds is a question of always look at your company 1 year from now. That's called the investment runway, right? And this happens with all investors. Let's say you're asking someone for 1 crore, and the first question that they're going to ask you is what is the investment runway, meaning that if I give you 1 crore today, how long is your business going to survive in the worst case scenario? And that's called the investment runway. Usually it's between 12 to 18 to 24 months, right? So you always need to have a strong grip over your finances, because today you can acquire a customer for 50 rupees and make them pay 300 rupees. But tomorrow, when you're increasing your business, you need to hire more people. You need to do more marketing. You need to do more advertising. Your product price is still 300, but instead of spending 50 rupees to acquire that, you're spending 350 rupees now, which means that instead of making 250 rupees in profits, you're now making 50 rupees in losses. So
Yeah.
the investment money comes in where you have to expand that 300 and improve the product to make that product 600 rupees in time, right? Or be in a place where you're acquiring users today, and you acquire so many users, like million users, and for each person you're losing 50 rupees, right? That is 50 million rupees lost. But on the other hand, what will happen is that when you have a million users, they start liking your product, they're going to purchase a second product with you, and the third, and the fourth. So that's called the lifetime value of a customer. You don't judge the customer based on what he's giving you in the first go, but how long is he sticking with you, which is called retention, which is called stickiness, and then how much is he going to pay you eventually. That's what happens with the Ubers and everything, right? When
Yeah.
I think when Uber was launched in India, they used to give us coupons left, right, and center, and we used to have free rides most of the times. But today, if you have to book an Uber, you'll have to burn your pockets. But the thing is, will you choose an alternative? No, you end up going with either Uber or Ola, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what stickiness means. You get people accustomed to your product, get habituated. No matter how much you know that Instagram is going to be harmful for you if you look at it 12 hours a day, you're still going to go back to it, right?
Yeah.
No one is paying you to do that, but that's how products are built, and that's when investment has to be raised. You need to know your 12 months projections, and you need to know how much you should raise and how much will that help you in terms of scaling your product and scaling your business.
Yeah. So you said that Instagram thing. I think that we are paying Instagram and we are paying the whole Facebook company our time. The major thing is our time. We are paying our time. Uh,
Yeah,
like so, I think we have to use it accordingly. Like we are paying our time, not the money. And
yeah,
the time is the major thing more than money.
absolutely.
Yeah. So we are coming to an end, and I want to know like what Unschool is doing in current days and what's your future plan.
Mm, right. So we have a lot of progress and products that we're releasing at Unschool. One is what we're building currently is a social feature. Just for the stickiness part that I just told you, right? We
Yeah.
know that students are coming to us, completing courses, they're happy with the product and everything. But our major pain point right now is to get them to stick to the platform, which means that a person who's purchased a course in the first year of college should come back to Unschool to purchase it in the next semester or the next year, which is second year of college. And they will only remember Unschool to be the solution if they stay part of the community and we're keeping them engaged. So what we're building is a community right now. The community almost works like Facebook, right? You don't need
Yeah.
to go to your teacher or your mentor to ask a question. You speak to each other, just like it happens on Quora, right? You can
Yeah.
talk about World Cup, you can talk about AI, you can talk about design, you can talk about football, anything, but be part of the platform and keep interacting with each other. You can attend hackathons, webinars, workshops as a part of it.
Yeah.
And in the end, we also reward students for doing this. The more time they spend on this community, the more they contribute to this community. They are given unschool credits, just like cred coins. I'm sure all of you followed IPL and know the
Yeah.
concept of cred coins. So the unschool credits can be used by you to purchase products on Flipkart, Mintra, Domino's, Swiggy, Zomato, and many other platforms. We have hundreds of partners. Where so what we're trying to do is that you not only spend time on the community and learn, we're actually awarding you with discounts in hundreds of other platforms where you can buy your favorite products, right? So this has increased our stickiness and daily active users and monthly active users over the last 3 months. So over the I think the next 3 years we want to reach a million users on the community.
Great.
By the year 2025, we want to be the one-stop solution or the employment hub for people. When they think of internships, they should think of Unschool. When they think of jobs, they should think of Unschool. We would want to have about 1,000 courses in the next 4 years on the platform, be it paid or free courses, we don't care. But we would want to provide anyone who wants to learn music and doesn't have a choice, Unschool should be the place.
Yeah.
Anyone who is in a job and not able to get a promotion or a hike in the last 2 years, Unschool should be their solution. Anyone who doesn't know what to do with their life and you know not understanding if engineering is good for them or arts is good for them, unschool should be a choice. So I think we want to be
Great.
the one-stop solution for anyone to become employable. That's what we want to be.
Yeah, and we wish you all the best for that.
Thanks, Prashant.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the last question from my side. Like, please give some light on building a right company structure, including team building and maintaining culture in the company.
Right. So I think you always hire for uh, character more than skills. Okay,
Yeah.
skills are really really important, but you
Mm-hmm.
hire for character, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what. So culture comes immediately when you hire people with character. You don't need to build culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
You hire someone necessarily might not believe in your vision as much. If they
Mm-hmm.
believe it, that's brownie points. That's very good. But someone who is very hungry, and startups require those people who are people who are not paid very much, but probably paid
Mm-hmm.
in stocks. That means
Yeah.
that if that person is ready to say that, hey, you know what, in my previous job I earned 1 lakh per month, you just give me 50,000 rupees per month, but give me
Mm-hmm.
stock. That means
Yeah.
that that person believes that in 3 years from now, this company is going to be big, right?
Yes.
So hire people who believe in the future of the company, hire people
Mm-hmm.
who have great character, hire
Mm-hmm.
people who you are comfortable with as a founder.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're comfortable with them, both of you are going to work at 1 a.m. in the night and 8 a.m. in the morning equally energetic, right? So I think
Yeah.
that's what is important. And coming to the structure of the company, see, it's there are few things that you should not compromise on. That can be your lawyer, that can be your doctor, and that can be your chartered accountant, right?
Yeah.
There's few things that are really important, and unfortunately school system does not teach us the basics of these things. So I
Mm-hmm.
think whatever money you have, you should be able to invest in a good accountant for yourself, good lawyers for yourself, and they will take care of the process. Because if you start spending the first 3 to 6 months of your company thinking about the structure and these GST certificates and incorporation, who is going to build the business, right? So instead, spend time building the business and
Yeah.
leave the remaining to experts. That would
Great.
be my suggestion.
Okay. So, your last advice to the youth of India.
I'm not sure I should be sending out messages without achieving so much myself, but I would just say this that I think dream big is one quote that I've always, it's not a quote, but these two words have always been very close to my heart.
Yeah.
Um, we've always been kids from school who believed that we could do something. And when we were
Yeah.
kids in school, people used to tell us, our uncles, aunts, relatives, friends, that we are special. But somehow, after you turn 16 or 17, they stop telling you that, right? But I think you should believe in yourself that you can do something and you should just dream big
Yeah.
and persevere, right? Uh,
Great.
and you should believe in the power of compounding.
Yes.
For me, fortunately, things happened immediately after my college. I'm very fortunate for that. Uh, but even if it would have taken 10 years for me after college to be in the position that I am, I think I would
Mm-hmm.
have still persevered. And that's what is important. It's not about the amount of time you took to reach there, it's about are you building something that is effective and productive.
Great. Okay. So, in from audience, anyone want to ask anything to Rahul? You can question here in the chat only. We have 1 minute for that. We are waiting for few seconds. Then we will like further move on with the ending part. Okay, Rahul
I think
sir, do you,
Rajan, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Rajamouli. Rahul sir, do you anytime think about what to do if everything goes wrong? And if you do, how do you fight the thought and come back motivated? I feel one reason for many people to not start a startup would be such fears.
Yeah, so I think this is where we are lucky, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, basically, you need to think about your age at this point of time, and
Mhm.
that's what was my mantra during college. I used to start a lot of things and do a lot of things because what's there to lose at this age for us? You don't have a family to take care of. You don't have wife and kids and husbands to feed, right?
Yeah.
So essentially, at this point of time, you should just take the plunge and knowing that there's a safety net. I still remember the time when we started our previous company. I was a part of. We had asked our parents money for buying MacBooks and laptops. We didn't buy the MacBook. We put all of that money into building the startup. And the only ideology behind that was, it's okay. What if we lose? They're anyway paying 2 lakhs for my tuition fee in college. Uh, this 50,000 rupees won't hurt them a lot, right? Because your parents are in a place they can put you there. And second is, when you're learning how to start, what is really important is that through the failure you're learning so much. That means that even if you fail and your startup has gone bankrupt, you might feel bad, but the amount of skills that you have will get you a job that is paying you more than when you were an entrepreneur or starting your own company. So what I'm saying is that the effort that you put in never goes waste. It
Yeah,
depends on how you're going to leverage that in the future. So I think at this age you have a safety net. You have nothing to lose, so you should just go at it.
great. Okay, so we are wrapping up with this fireside chat. Thank you so much, Rahul, for giving your precious time to us and helping us to learn and understand like how to build a startup from India. We are looking forward to host you again sometime.
Super. All the
Thank
best,
you.
Prashant. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you so
Had a
much.
good time. Bye.
Bye bye. And thank you, audience, for coming to this event. We look forward to host events with you again. Thank you.